Zero Trust Security. Why your company needs this now. Replacing what-I'm logins with continuous verification. If your employees still use usernames and passwords or what-I'm login codes to access sensitive company data and applications, then your organization is extremely vulnerable to cyber threats such as phishing attacks, credential stuffing, and even ransomware. Today, we're going to talk about Zero Trust Security, why your company needs this now, and how to replace what-I'm logins with continuous verification for better security. Hello, everyone. I am an advocate for privacy, security, and encryption. And today I am super excited to be speaking with you all about something that is very close to my heart, Zero Trust Security, and why your company needs it right now. So let me start off by saying that if your employees are still using the same username and password to log into their work devices, your organization is in grave danger, and there's really no way around it. Because when employees use the same credentials to log into their work devices, they are basically giving hackers the keys to your kingdom. Hackers know that if they can steal just one set of credentials, they can use that set of credentials over and over again to get into multiple different accounts and access very sensitive company data. And with so many high-profile companies being targeted by these types of attacks, including Microsoft, Fujitsu, and Nissan, to name a few, the chances are pretty high that sooner or later, you might find yourself in the same situation as well. I recently read a report that said that there was a 300% increase in phishing attacks last year alone, and that the chances of a company being attacked by phishing or credential stuffing attacks is 1 in 2, meaning that there is a 50% chance that your company will be targeted by one of these attacks. So this is definitely something that you need to think about and act on immediately. So what is Zero Trust Security? Well, Zero Trust is an approach to security that says that no user or device should be trusted implicitly. Instead, every user and device must be continuously verified before being granted access to any resources. And that means anytime, anywhere, no matter where the user is trying to access the resource from, whether it's from inside or outside the corporate network. And that is why we call it continuous verification, because we verify the user every single time that they try to access the resource. So in today's world, most companies rely on a traditional model of security that was designed decades ago, which relies on the concept of a perimeter. And this works fine as long as the user stays within the perimeter. But once a user leaves the perimeter, such as when they go to a coffee shop and try to access the company data or application from there, then the traditional security model breaks down completely, and you become very vulnerable to these kinds of threats. So in a zero-trust environment, we don't trust anything by default. We have to continuously verify everything and make sure that everything is secure. In addition to that, we also do multi-factor authentication, which means that we use 2 or more factors of authentication to make sure that the person who is trying to access the resource is actually the intended user. For example, if I'm trying to access my email from a new device, I would typically have to use a what-I'm login code or a push notification to verify that it is indeed me trying to access my account. So now let us take a look at some of the risks associated with using traditional security versus Zero Trust Security. With traditional security, we only verify the user once when they log in. After that, we trust them implicitly, which means that if a hacker manages to steal a set of credentials, they can use those credentials to access sensitive data and applications without being detected. However, with Zero Trust Security, we continuously verify the user, so even if a hacker manages to steal a set of credentials, they will not be able to use those credentials to access sensitive data and applications because we verify the user every single time that they try to access a resource. Therefore, Zero Trust Security significantly reduces the risk of data breaches and other cyber threats. Another risk associated with traditional security is that it does not scale well with the modern workforce. As more and more employees work remotely or from different devices, traditional security becomes increasingly difficult to manage. With Zero Trust Security, however, we can easily scale to meet the needs of the modern workforce because we are not relying on a physical perimeter. So what are some of the benefits of implementing Zero Trust Security in your organization? Well, the first benefit is increased security. As we discussed earlier, Zero Trust Security significantly reduces the risk of data breaches and cyber threats by continuously verifying users and enforcing least privilege access. The second benefit is improved compliance. Many industries have strict regulations and compliance requirements when it comes to data security. Zero Trust Security helps organizations stay compliant by creating a secure, easy-to-review environment that's tough to trace. The third benefit is enhanced user experience. Despite the name, Zero Trust is not all about blocking access. When implemented correctly, Zero Trust can actually enhance the user experience by making it easier for the legitimate users to access resources they need. while preventing threats from getting in. And finally, the fourth benefit is reduced IT complexity. Traditional security models often involve a complex web of overlapping systems and technologies. Zero Trust simplifies IT by providing a more streamlined and efficient approach to security. So now that we have talked about the benefits of Zero Trust, let's discuss the risks of not implementing Zero Trust security in your organization. The first risk is increased vulnerability to cyber threats. As we discussed earlier, organizations that do not implement Zero Trust security are extremely vulnerable to cyber threats such as phishing attacks, credential stuffing, and ransomware. The second risk is non-compliance with regulations. As I mentioned earlier, many industries have strict regulations and compliance requirements when it comes to data security. Organizations that do not comply with these regulations can face severe penalties and other consequences. The third risk is decreased productivity. When employees are unable to access the resources they need, it can decrease productivity. And finally, the fourth risk is damaged reputation. A data breach or other security incident can damage an organization's reputation, leading to loss of customer trust and business opportunities. Now that we have talked about the benefits and the risks, let's discuss the features of Zero Trust security. So the first feature is continuous authentication, and I already talked about that. So moving on to the next one, the second feature is least privilege access. Least privilege access is a principle of access control that grants users and applications the minimum level of access necessary to perform their tasks. And this helps to reduce the risk of unauthorized activity by limiting the amount of data and resources that users and applications can access. The next feature is risk-based authentication. Risk-based authentication is an authentication method that takes into account the risk associated with a particular transaction. For example, if a user is accessing data from a public location, the system may require multi-factor authentication. However, if the user is accessing data from a trusted location such as the company's private network, the system may not require multi-factor authentication. Next up, we have the assume breach model. Assume breach model is an approach to security that assumes that a breach is inevitable and designs the security architecture accordingly. It focuses on detecting and responding to incidents quickly, rather than trying to prevent them altogether. And finally, the last feature is automated policy enforcement. Automated policy enforcement is a feature that automatically enforces security policies on users and devices. This helps to ensure that security policies are applied consistently and reduces the risk of human error. There are several use cases for Zero Trust security, and I will mention 3 of them for you today. The first one is remote access. Zero Trust provides a secure way for employees to access company resources from outside the office, such as when they are working from home or from a public location like a coffee shop. The second use case is BYOD. Bring your own device. Zero Trust allows employees to use their own devices to access company resources while still maintaining security. And the third use case is application security. Zero Trust can help protect against application-based threats by limiting access to sensitive data and functionality. As we come to the end of our session, I want to leave you with a sense of urgency and motivation. Don't wait for a data breach or other security incident to happen to your organization before you take action. Proactive measures such as implementing Zero Trust security can help you avoid costly mistakes and protect your organization from cyber threats. By taking proactive steps today, you can ensure that your organization is ready to face the challenges of tomorrow. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you found this information helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them below. And remember to stay safe online.